Let's head into the papers now, see what the headlines are across Nigeria. I have with me leadership and communication strategist, Dr. John, as well as political technocrat, Dr. Dayo Kayode. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Monday.
Yeah.
Even though these are trying times for everyone, it's a time for everyone to be cautious, but we still find optimism somewhere.
Yeah, you see, even the optimism people could have had, some of our leaders are not even allowing it. You could imagine on Friday, I was coming from Abuja and there was heavy traffic. A old legislator have to unleash his policemen on people and started slapping everybody on the traffic, including the driver that was driving my vehicle.
All right. I wonder what I wonder why that is.
I wonder why. I mean, this kind of a time that people need to have confidence in them. They are just treating us as if they are not concerned.
Okay, I guess that would be an aberration, but
real aberration.
Yes, it's okay. Let's start from the News Direct. News Direct is where we start from this morning. Coronavirus, certainly that's the biggest topic across the world right now. Lagos, Kwara, others direct workers to stay at home. FCT or your Lagos raised cases to 30. And Atiku's son tested positive. Cases in Africa hit 39 countries. And Sahara Energy co-founder on BA75 flight in self-isolation. And federal government faults fake news about helicopter spreading antivirus. Okay, you find all that on the front page of the News Direct. Now, Daily Trust is the next now. Daily Trust says Nigeria's COVID-19 cases rise to 30. Worshippers troop to churches, mosques, despite the ban. No restriction in Niger, Abia, Bauchi, Edo, Yobe, Bayelsa, Osun, Lagos, Ondo record low turnout. And IG directs enforcement. That's the Inspector General of Police. Lagos, Kwara issue work from home order. All right. From Daily Trust, we have, let's go to Leadership newspaper now. Atiku Abubakar's son tests positive to coronavirus, and virus threatens tax revenue as cases rise to 31. All right, Lagos government asks workers to work from home, and CUPP demands mandatory tests for all Nigerians. And IGP directs enforcement of restriction order. Merkel in self-isolation, that's Angela Merkel, the German Chancellor. U.S. Senator tests positive, and Singapore closes border. Okay, that's Leadership newspaper. Daily Times is the next right now. COVID-19 spreads in Nigeria, 30 cases confirmed. And FCT records four confirmed cases, 35 suspected cases. Official is revealing this. Sets up an emergency epidemic response. Says 3 confirmed patients in stable condition. That's Daily Times. Business AM is the next and the last one. Now, Nigeria Pep stash $400 million slush funds in Dubai properties. And presidency staff, governors, legislators in report for Carnegie Institute. All right, you find all that on the front page of the Business AM, talking totally something different. All right, gentlemen, one of the issues over the weekend is the advice for people to stay away from worship centers. At least there has been a directive from Lagos State government all the while to limit the number of gatherings to 50, and then from there you came down to 20. And there are advice that so long as this is going to gather people, please stay at home. A lot of churches complied, but we still see here and there where some churches didn't comply. Dr. Let me start with you on this. It means that these people are not seeing the reality of what we're talking of, what the government is saying.
Yes. It's quite unfortunate that people do not see that some of these restrictions are for our own good. And I keep telling people that the best Nigeria can do is to try and prevent these things. And when you're talking about Nigeria, you are not talking only about the Nigerian government. You're also talking about the Nigerian people. It has to be a collaboration. If this thing becomes an epidemic, I know the next thing is God forbid, we do not have the capacity to cope with it.
Is it not more than an epidemic already?
No, I'm saying within the country, if it goes out of hand, if we fail to contain it at this present moment, it may become a lot of issues for us. I was citing an example during the weekend. I took a bike from my house to the junction, and as we were riding, a thick sweat from the face of the bike man just came straight and dropped into my mouth.
Or your lips.
Needless to say that I was unable to eat that day. But now yesterday, I was asking myself, if that man had carried the virus, how am I going to save myself? This morning, as
But
I was,
even beyond coronavirus,
even
there
beyond
could be
coronavirus,
other,
but that is how we live in Nigeria. This morning as I was coming, because I heard what the Lagos State government is trying to do to ensure that no more than 40 or 40-something people are in the long buses. But as at this morning, there are more than 20, 30 people still standing in buses on my route. It shows that we haven't really understood the implications of some of these things we are doing. I understand the fact that Lagos is a daily money community, where if somebody does not go to the office or does not go to the market, they may not be able, they are thinking, oh, we will not be able to survive. But I think we need our life first before we think about business. So I think there's still a disconnect between what government is saying and how people are
Let me take it from the word disconnect. Now, Dr. Kayode, there are several videos going viral. One of a pastor who said he doesn't believe, he was talking to his congregation and saying that coronavirus is not here, and that even if it comes, there is a corrosive anointing to knock it off and all of that. In the same vein, besides that, a governor in the southwest was saying that the coronavirus cannot come to his state because his state is the only state in Nigeria that has, in the southeast, that has its name in the Bible. What do you make of persons who are leaders, who are supposed to be at the forefront of talking to people about what to do, taking a stance like this?
It is not even about the leaders. It is about the gullible followers. Okay. I will not be surprised. I mean, I was never surprised seeing all this. Because here are some of these pastors that will prepare one swimming pool at the back of their church. I will say, this is, yes, the pool of Bethsaida. If you are sick, just come and bath there. And then after bathing there, you have to give offering of nothing less than 10,000 naira or 100,000 naira. And these are people that ride in jets and all that. But the congregation, they cannot even feed for 2 days. And they will still be worshiping them. These are people, I mean, so many things. I mean, which one will we say? But the issue is, none of them had realized that there is a difference between what we call science and religion. There's a difference, distinct, between science and religion. Even our Lord Jesus Christ said, give to Caesar what is Caesar. And he commanded one of his disciples to go and bring that fish and then remove money from the fish's mouth to pay the government. Taxes. Because this is government pronouncement. That is to say, whatever religion you are practicing, you are still under the confine of a particular authority, which you must respect to a very large extent. So I wouldn't know why, after seeing this, that is even real, and people are still saying, I have a corona anointing, I have this anointing. How many of them have ever gone to all those hospitals where those people are being restricted to now give them that corona anointing, and then let us see them getting out of that problem? You see, it is a big issue here. Even America, Saudi Arabia had cancelled the so-called to their pilgrimages to their country.
But that is not, Hajj is not so called.
Listen, even the Pope said it. I read the Pope's message yesterday, who was saying that, look, you have to, at this time, abide with what is happening in the world. There is no fasting, there is no anointing that can take away that corona, because it is scientific, of which there is a difference between science and religion.
All right. Now, those who have deep understanding, even people like Albert Einstein, who were known as world-renowned scientists, understood the balance between science and the unknown, and they try to balance that too. Yeah. They never conflicted each other.
No.
All right.
You
now,
see, my bigger challenge, even than having to go to church or all this, is the kind of citizens we'll be building at the end of the day. You see, every cause has an effect, and every effect has a cause. If we continue like this, that good leadership, this thing that we are looking for, we may not see. And this is how it happens. If you say because your government is irresponsible, that you are not going to obey your government, that means that you are building a disobedient followership.
Exactly.
Tomorrow, those disobedient followership will find themselves in leadership position. And
what
what would they do? They will become
expect
irresponsible again, because they will have disobedient people coming, and the circle will continue like that. So I think my major advice is not whether even you have the anointing to cure it, or I'm not spiritual to that level to understand the level of your anointing. But what I do know is that we have one country, and government, I keep telling people, is the representative of God. If you thank God that people like us have done courses here and there. When I was doing a master's degree, I had to go borrow a course that is called systematic theology. In it there, you get to understand that every doctrine is man-made. It's his own understanding of how he wants to serve his God. And you also get to understand that God is interested in some of these sciences because he is the source of science himself. So we must learn to continue to balance without building a disobedient followership that will have effect on the future of the nation.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. John, for your insight into this. And Dr. Dayo Kayode, thank you very much for your time as well. Pleasure. Right.
It's time now to take a look at stories making the headlines in Nigerian newspapers. I have with me in the studio leadership and communication strategist Dr. Ojon and political technocrat Dr. Dayo Kayode, whose birthday was yesterday. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning.
I appreciate. I just thank God for yesterday, and I was indoors throughout.
Of course.
Rededicating my life to serve my father's land. You know,
nice.
Because that is what I've concluded.
Right.
You know, Veronica, quickly, sometimes you wonder how this young old man gets his energy. He's
waking up this early. Yes.
For those who don't know, I think in the past few years he's been doing everything he's been doing is about Nigeria, how to make the nation better.
Absolutely. We see him across stations, not just on TVC, but we see him across several stations doing a whole lot. So well done for your work. Well done. Thank you for believing in Nigeria, and people like you give us hope that Nigeria would be a better place as time gets on. All right, let's head to the papers now, and we begin with the News Direct. Coronavirus, Lagos, Kwara, others direct workers to stay at home. FCT or your Lagos raised cases to 30. Atiku's son tested positive. Cases in Africa hit 39 countries. Sahara Energy co-founder on BA75 flight in self-isolation. Federal government faults fake news about helicopters spreading antivirus. To the front page of the Daily Trust, Nigeria's COVID-19 cases rise to 30. Worshippers troop to churches, mosques, despite ban. No restriction in Niger, Abia, Bauchi, Edo, Yobe. Bayelsa, Osun, Lagos, under record low turnout. IG directs enforcement. Lagos, Kwara issue work from home order. And to the leadership newspaper, Atiku Abubakar's son tests positive for coronavirus. Virus threatens tax revenue as cases rises to 31. Lagos government asks workers to work from home. COP demands mandatory test for all Nigerians. IGP directs enforcement of restriction order. Merkel in self-isolation. U.S. senator tests positive. Singapore closed borders. To the Daily Times now, COVID-19 spreads in Nigeria, 30 cases confirmed. FCT records 4 confirmed, 35 suspected cases. Official. sets up an emergency epidemic response, says 3 confirmed patients in stable condition. The Business AM, Nigerian PEP stashed $400 million slush funds in Dubai properties. Presidency staff, governors, legislators in report for Carnegie Institute. To the Nation newspaper, COVID-19 cases rise to 30 in Lagos, Abuja, Ibadan. Lagos, Kwara asks civil servants to work from home. Achikasan tests positive to the virus. Virus will subside, Adeboye predicts. Police enforce shutdown order. To the Daily Sun, COVID-19 red alert. Confirmed cases soar to 30. FCT quarantines 39. Lagos gives workers stay-at-home order. Civil servants to work from home in Kwara. And finally, on the front page of this day newspaper, Achikasan tests positive as COVID-19 cases escalate to 30. Lagos now has 22, FCT 4, Ogun 2, Ekiti 1, Oyo 1. Churches defy mass gathering restriction, hold service. Sanwo-Olu directs civil servants to stay at home for 14 days. CJN asks judicial officers to comply with social distancing. Inspector General directs AIG, CPs to enforce restriction orders, says citizens should stay away from police stations. Global health death toll rises to 13,799. Confirmed cases hit 322,278 in 189 countries. And a whole lot of information there. Because of time, we have to focus so that we can have time to discuss. Now let's look at the front page of the Daily Sun. Talking about preparations across the 36 states in the country. We see that in the U.S., the 50 states are infected. And at this point for Nigeria, we have about 30 cases. And the FCT has 4, has quarantined 39. Lagos has 22 quarantined, and Ogun has 2 cases. Ekiti has 1 case. Oyo has 1 case. But yesterday we saw the governor of Lagos State speaking, and he said that some workers, that is those from the level of 1 to 12, should work from home. And he talked about the level of preparedness from home. We have seen a whole lot from Lagos State, but how about others? Are we really doing enough with regards to dealing with this, tackling with this head on? Because some states do not even have restriction orders. I'll start with you, Doctor.
I don't know whether I should be scared or be sorry. Unfortunately, we said it last week, the way you do one thing is the way you almost do everything. Yeah. This is an attitudinal thing, and it's quite unfortunate. You see, we are a people who are not concerned until we are affected. And you will remember this exactly how Boko Haram started. When it started in the northeast, people thought, oh, it was a northeast affair. And they were not so concerned until they moved down to Abuja. It was then that people felt, oh, insecurity has become a national thing. That's the same attitude we are having now. We may say 30. Oh, what's the percentage of 30 in 200 million people? But I'm not concerned about 30 that have tested positive. I'm concerned about the 30 that we may not know. I am concerned about even one under the bridge in Oshodi. If one gets under the bridge, because we have to be plain with some of these things. If one gets under the bridge in Oshodi by 8 a.m. and stays there between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m., before 5 p.m., that one person will have distributed to virtually every community in Lagos. This thing is that bad. But we're thinking, oh, because it's a Lagos thing now, let's leave the Lagos state governor to be talking. It has not come to my state. So I think we need to change that attitude. And we must paint a correct picture of this thing. It's fine to be religious about it. It's fine to be spiritual about it. But the basic measures that we have to take as government, and everything rises and falls on leadership. And that's why it's very important. If as a state governor, for example, I still think in 21st century that, oh, because of one thing that I believe in or not, that I'm not going to make preparation, then I wonder how I want to convince my people to make preparation. This is a global strategy. We may be lucky to have weather, as people have said. We may be lucky to have faith.
It is not about the weather.
We may be lucky to have faith, as people have professed. Yeah. We may be lucky to have a strong belief system, but there's the need. The 30 people that are affected, they didn't offend God.
Of course.
So, like I said, the 30 that we have seen, I'm scared, but the 30 that we may not have seen,
the hundreds
or the 100,
we may not even know, Dr. Kayode.
Is where the issue is.
You see, it becomes more appalling because just last week, I was in Abuja for about 4 days. Could you believe that people in Abuja, not until when those ones were declared, as far back as Thursday, they still believe coronavirus.
It's not in Nigeria.
It's not in Abuja.
Oh.
Until when they started announcing it, I think on Friday or thereabout. Now, talking about preparedness, we never prepared. No state ever prepared. Even Lagos State. The only thing we are seeing now is reaction. All right? Reaction to the outbreak.
But some will say at least steps are being taken.
Yes, even in Ekiti, steps too are being taken because I'm also following what is happening in my state. The governor had declared that people should now work from home, close down schools and all that. But for me, that one is not even an issue. Let us learn from countries like China. Upper weekend, I was watching Al Jazeera, and I saw the China government using helicopter overcrafts to fleet the whole country.
Disinfecting
the whole country. So what is so superficial about that we cannot borrow from? All right?
Do we have the capacity?
We may not have even got
listen
to that
to
point
me.
yet.
We have the capacity if only we want to exhibit it. But Mali said, where there is a will, there will be a way. All right? We have a lot of helicopters in this country. Okay? What are those people using to disinfect? These are things we can easily prepare in Nigeria. We have a lot of laboratories that can do it. Prepare disinfectants. Let us disinfect the whole country. Okay? By so doing, it will also still reduce it to some level. All right? Now, people that had entered the country, search for them. Quarantine them. Then those people you are quarantined.
But unfortunately, the information being given by these people, like we found out over time, was that they were not given the correct information.
That is exactly where I'm going. You see, those people that are being quarantined, make sure you treat them well. If you are treating them well, others will come in. Look at the former vice president, Atiku Abubakar, who just declared that his son tested positive. Where is that his son now?
It's in a hospital in Gwagwalada.
Is it just an hospital? Is it just an hospital? It's an A hospital. Okay? So let us develop let us put resources in all these hospitals so that people will on their own volition go to such areas to receive treatment.
Some countries, they are liaising with private hospitals.
Exactly.
So
why can't we do capacity. That? We have Reddington there. Reddington is there. We have this one too in Eko Hospital there. We have a lot of them there that can, even in Ibadan, we have a whole load of them there too that government can liaise with. Even in Ekiti, we also have some hospitals there that all these governors can liaise with. Treat them well and people will come out of their own volition.
As we have talked about the role that we expect government to play, at the end of the day, government will not die. It is people that will die.
Exactly.
So the people also have a role to play. If by any distance they tell you
self-responsibility first of all.
to do basic things and you think you cannot do it in the name of under any guise, it's dangerous for you and your family.
All right, Dr. Let's leave it here now. Let's leave it here now. Thank you, gentlemen, for your contribution on the newspaper review this morning.
Now let's head into the papers now, see what the headlines are saying this morning. Certainly, all the headlines are talking about the dreaded coronavirus disease. I have with me Dr. John in the studio as well as Dr. Dayo Kayode to take a look at these this morning. Good morning. Nice to see you both.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning,
Great.
Mike. How are you?
Right. Let's start from News Direct. News Direct is where we start from this morning, and it says it's on coronavirus. Lagos, Kwara, others direct workers to stay at home. And FCT or your Lagos raised cases to 30. Atiku's son tested positive, and cases in Africa hit 39 countries. And Sahara Energy co-founder on BA-75 flight in self-isolation. Federal government false fake news about helicopter spreading antivirus. You have all that on the front page of the News Direct. And Daily Trust is next now. And Nigeria's COVID-19 cases rises to 30. Worshippers troop to churches, mosques despite ban. No restriction in Niger, Abia, Bauchi, Edo, Yobe, Bayelsa, Osun, Lagos, Ondo record low turnout. And IG directs enforcement. Lagos, Kwara issue work from home order. That is Daily Trust. Leadership is next now, and he says Atiku Abubakar's son tests positive to coronavirus. Virus threatens tax revenue as cases rise to 31. And Lagos government asks workers to work from home. A CUPP demands mandatory tests for all Nigerians. An IGP directs enforcement of restriction order. Angela Merkel in self-isolation. A U.S. senator tests positive. Singapore closed border. All right, all that on the front page of Leadership newspaper. Daily Times says COVID-19 spreads in Nigeria. 30 cases confirmed. FCT records 4 confirmed, 35 suspected cases. An official is revealing this and sets up emergency epidemic response. Says 3 confirmed patients in stable condition. That's Daily Trust. Moving now to Business AM. Business AM is next now. Nigerian PEP stash $400 million slush funds in Dubai properties. And presidency staff, governors, legislators in report for Carnegie Institute. All right, you find out that on the front page of the Business AM. The Nation newspaper is next now. COVID-19 cases rise to 30 in Lagos, Abuja, Ibadan. Lagos, Kwara asks civil servants to work from home. Atiku's son tests positive and virus will subside. Adeboye predicts. And police enforce shutdown order. All that on the front page of the Nation newspaper. Daily Sun is next now. COVID-19, red alert. Confirmed cases soar to 30. FCT quarantines 39. Lagos gives workers stay-at-home order. Civil servants to work from home in Kwara, that's Kwara State, okay? That's what you see on the Daily Sun. This Day is next. This Day newspaper says Atiku's son tests positive as COVID-19 cases escalate to 30. And a lot of multiple writers there explaining the breakdown of all of this. Now, gentlemen, we see this is... the WHO has warned African nations to brace up for the days ahead because it could be worse considering the weak health system on the African continent. However, we see a lot of pressure right now with the frenzy and people going for tests and isolation centers being created and all of that. Now, let me start with you, Dr. Kayode. What would you say when it comes to the investment in the health sector? This is part of where that impact will be felt as to what is invested or what is not invested.
You see, what you have just asked now made me to remember some Yoruba sayings. One is this: Ṣàngó ní jàjàjà kó jà wọlé aláró. That is to say, don't break your jaws.
I want to learn too.
The thunder will not fight to the extent of going to the person that is doing that dies clot.
Okay.
Another one by Sonny Ade that Ogidon ni ṣe baba kájáde bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ gẹrun. No matter what, the dog will never go to Ogidon's shop to go and barb the hair.
Okay.
Now, our so-called leaders, they've always been looking at it that no matter what happens, there is always health tourism.
The leaders, will they be called so-called? Whether they perform well or not, they remain the leaders, isn't it?
That's what I'm saying. Okay. They will never, they have been looking at it, that no matter what happens,
there's always an escape route.
There's always an escape route for them. But look at what is happening now. They are now running back home. Because over there, the way the thing is going like, whirlwind.
The whirlwind.
Like Aja. Whirlwind, they call it Aja.
Okay.
there is nobody, no matter how huge you are, you should go where Aja is fighting, Aja will carry you. That is, if they don't take precaution, this coronavirus will catch up with them. Now, look at Atiku's son. Where is he? This is going to be a big lesson to whoever is in a position of authority. I'm sorry to go back to Bade's case. Bade, the former chief of
defense staff. We don't have time, though.
Do you understand? Look at what happened to him. Now, look at what is happening to our leaders now. They have no option other than to patronize but then what have they done to improve health facilities in the past years in this country? All right. Most especially in Africa now. Our airports so porous, our land borders so porous, so many. Do they know? Look at South Africa alone. The old aircraft, they search them before disembarking. But what are we doing here? So many people that have been with them inside the aircraft, and they are now in the country. What have they done? All right, Dr.
The points he has raised are cogent. Now, it draws our attention to the annual budget, where one looks at what is given to health every month over the past decades and years.
Yeah. If you spend what is actually given, what has been given to Earth in the past years on health, judiciously, in a transparent manner, Mike, we will not be where we are today. So the problem is not budgetary allocation. The problem is that we budget for things that we do need, and we leave things that we take care of things that we really don't need. Because when you make a budgetary provision for something particularly, I remember some years back, there was a budgetary allocation in a particular state to have primary healthcare facility in all the wards. At that point, I think we were having in that state, it's about 100 and plus wards. And at the end of the day, nobody said money was not released. That translated to the fact that money was released, and by the time you get there today, there are no health facilities anywhere. It shows that, Mike, greed over time will always catch up with us. It is ironic now to say that Nigeria is the safest place in the world. It is ironic. Unfortunately, the people will still be, the people who cannot afford this thing will still be victim of this safety. And this is what I mean. The little health facility that we have that we are supposed to enjoy locally, those who had power and didn't know what to use with power, and they didn't build health facility, will still come and burden it. And by the time they get there, they have few monies to play around with within the health facility in Nigeria. So there's possibility that if I get there now, the political exposed people will get attention before me. This is what greed has destroyed us.
All right. So this is a wake-up call for everyone.
Yeah, it is.
Unfortunately, sorry, we don't have the time anymore. Let's leave it here now. Thank you very much. Dr. John, thank you for coming on the program. Dr. Dayo Kayode, we really appreciate you.
Thank you. All those Yorubas.
Right. No, I'll come for lessons. I'll come for some lessons.